I've been listening to the Book of Solomon, or the audio of the Book of Solomon, or not the Book of Solomon, the Book of Wisdom. And the Book of Wisdom is clearly different than the old teachings of the Hebrews. This is the Macabees teachings. The Macabees are a group of militant Jews who took over just before Jesus came. The same people that were trying to stone Mary Magdalene. Now, this is the thing. They were the ones that were in the temple. They had an empire. They were the Jews that came, the Hebrews that ruled in Jerusalem before them are called Hellenistic, and the Maccabees are different. It's about, and if you listen to the start of the Book of Wisdom, it starts going on about unrighteous beds and the children of the unrighteous beds. See, it seems like an effort by Kain and his tares in the temple, because Jesus was going on the tares amongst the wheat, and you Jews, he would have been talking to the Maccabees in the temple. You Jews, your father is Satan, your father is what they were saying, the devil. So they tried to stop us. They tried to stop the Hebrews breeding. So they're going on about unrighteous beds, but it makes no sense to be. It couldn't be the Book of Solomon, because Solomon had 1,000 wives and concubines, and he had hundreds of children. So the part where he's going into unrighteous beds and this and that, it sounds like an effort to. They forced everybody to convert. So you know, when Mary Magdalene was getting chased down the road by them, where they were going to stone her to death, and Jesus stopped them. He was from the direct line of David, and he's obviously was challenging their authority to rule, because they were illegitimate. They weren't the bloodline. Today they're like the Vatican. They'd be like the Vatican ruling today. They'd be making up all this doctrine and all this shit and saying they were holier than thou, but they wouldn't really have a legitimacy to rule, because they're not from the bloodline of David. My family is from the bloodline of David. At one stage, my family ruled these islands. So when Jesus was saying back in the day, take a tunic to the apostles, just take a tunic with you and don't take anything heavy, he was basically saying, don't go up near the north. But don't go up near the north, because the north was already ruled by the Gentiles, the Celts, and the Celts were always enemies of the Romans and the Maccabees and stuff like that. So the Romans were allied to the Maccabees, but they weren't allied to the Hebrews. So when they're saying children of unrighteous beds, it was better that we were never born. They were having a problem at the time with the Hebrews. They were rebelling against Rome and rebelling against the rule of the Maccabees. So they wanted to try and stop them breeding, so they started making up all of these new doctrines and forcing them to convert to their version. Like what the Catholic Church done when it came here. They burnt all the books of the law, of the Mother's Law, and they done loads of nasty stuff that they don't tell you about. They tell you the nice little story of the nice St. Patrick and that everyone here was pagans. It's the other way around. It's the Vatican that's the pagans. So basically that's what you have. The Maccabees is talking about the children of unrighteous beds. It was bad they were never born. Because prior to that, the teaching in the Bible about having children was go forth and multiply, be fruitful, till your children are as numerous as the grains of sand on the beach or the stars in the heavens, along them lines. And King David had 700 wives. King Solomon had 1,000. They must have had, and they had loads of children. So, and then you have the verse in the Bible, and it's about women. It says, there's a couple of verses on the same page. It goes, go through the gates, prepare the way for the people. Cast up, gather out your stones. Lift up the standard. So with standard is a kilt. Your stones are your balls, a man's balls. Cast up means come up, put your sperm up, go through the gate, break the women in. And then before that there's another verse in the Bible on the page before that says, to the daughters of Zion, that your gates shall be continuously open, they shall not be closed night or day, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. Now Rome, to this very day, has always feared the forces of the Gentiles, the Celtoids. The Celts were the ones that destroyed Rome. They call it the Huns, the Vandals and the Visigoths. But the Visigoths are basically the Celts. There's a prophecy in the Bible called the prophecy of Agur in the book of Proverbs, and it's about Attila the Hun and Ucal Callahan. The like to the Gentiles, no man is more brutal than Ucal. So everything they've been teaching us as Christian and Gaelic faith, it's a perversion of it. So when they were trying to stone Mary Magdalene, I'm presuming when they say she was a whore, she was just one of those women that was allowing the gates to be open night and day, and she was producing the forces of the Gentiles, which was commanded. It's still commanded in the Bible. And just because an empire, invading empire, came along and told you lies that you can't produce children and all. Back in the day, they used to have 10 and 14 in a family. All of you women who are whacking your babies and having abortions and killing the babies and not producing the next generation, biological obligation to the Lord and to the tribe who produced you. You're selfish and you're poisoned in your mind and your heart by the teachings of the Macabees, the same people who stoned Mary Magdalene, who tried to stone Mary Magdalene to death. That's the doctrine you've adopted. You have adopted and you have in your heart and mind the teachings of the enemy who tried to kill Mary Magdalene. So every time you're thinking about you're not going to have children, you're not going to produce any sons or daughters, that you're selfish and all that, you just remember you're thinking for the enemy and you're walking with the enemy and you're walking for the enemy. And when you start being disobedient and not doing with your husband, listening to your husband, or even taking a husband, calling guard for men when they say stuff that you don't like, that you say is sexist. Sexist is all part of the teachings of the enemy of Mary Magdalene. The ones who tried to stone her to death. The ones who were talking you into the culture that has seduced many of the women in this to killing their own offspring in the womb. See, a woman these days will talk you into cutting your own balls off. If you listen to her long enough, she'll tell you to get what you call the snip and all. How are you going to be fruitful and multiply if you get your balls cut, if you get your balls snipped? So you can't listen to the teachings. It should not suffer a woman to teach. The Romans are the whore of Babylon and all of that. These teachings of the temple